The biggest battle of the year is about to take place. And no, I'm not talking about Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. I mean, I am familiar with what's going on with the Pop-Out show and Family Matters and They Not Like Us and all of that, but I'm not as concerned about that because I'm more concerned with what's going to affect me in my daily life. And Republicans and Democrats like to throw things in front of your face that's going to distract you from the things that really matter. But this presidential election is important. And more important than a presidential election is what's going on a local level. I mean, we see what's happening with Tiffany Hinyard over in Dalton, yet you guys will try to convince me that your vote doesn't matter. Well, what if I told you that the majority of the people that voted for Tiffany Hinyard was still a low voter turnout rate, but it was enough in order to get her in office, and now you're sitting there complaining over in Thornton Township in Dalton, Illinois, about whether or not she's corrupt. But you get what you deserve. I see what's happening with Brandon Johnson over in Chicago. Migrant crisis, absolutely one of the top issues. But I know, because it's already been communicated to the general public, that President Biden is hunkered down at Camp David. And he's 100% focused on communicating to you the things that's not as important to your daily lives, because the things that you can control, that's the things he's going to talk about. Abortion rights. Making sure that we continue to advocate for the alphabet community. Those are the things that they're saying that President Biden is going to focus on and what he's practicing on as he prepares for this upcoming debate in the next couple of days.
The president this morning, it continues to be hunkered down at Camp David. He is fine-tuning his messaging, honing his attack lines, and preparing for, as you said, what is expected to be the highest stake moment in this rematch so far. Now, the president is expected to stay there at Camp David until the debate on Thursday. He's huddling there with over a dozen advisors, and over the coming days, his prep is expected to evolve from gaming out questions and answers to holding 90-minute mock debates.
Donald Trump, they say that he's not even preparing. They said that he's still on the campaign trail. He's not studying. He's not focused on any of that. He's 100% focused on galvanizing the voters.
Almost everything that President Biden is doing, Donald Trump is not. There are no mock debates. There are no rehearsed punchlines or pivot points. The former president also didn't take any time away from the campaign trail. He was out here in Washington, D.C. and in Pennsylvania. He was mocking President Biden for being at Camp David and meeting with his senior advisors, preparing for the debate.
But the things that a lot of the presidential candidates don't talk about is the things that really matter, right? And that is policy. The policies that affect you every single day. I mean, the top three issues for me personally is single parent households, which ultimately affect the voter process because those that determined the last election was Black women and women in general. I mean, I see that there's a galvanized voter base among Black men that are starting to support the Republican ticket and President Trump because they paying attention to what's happening in their pocketbooks. They voting based off of logic versus emotion this time. And even when I talk to a lot of these older people and I say, hey, listen, what's going on? Why do you love Biden so much? They say, because I don't like Trump. They're not focused on policy. They're focused on whether or not they align with a person based off of whether or not they don't like this other person. And that's unfortunate. And it's because we're an emotional people and we're easily distracted. You don't think that we're easily distracted? Okay, well, who do you think won in the latest battle versus Kendrick Lamar and Drake? Because who you choose is more closely going to be aligned with who you identify with. And that means that you're emotionally connected to that person. And even though we shouldn't be concerned with whether or not Savannah James is trying to stop LeBron James from going on stage at the Pop-Out or whether or not Russell Westbrook is dancing as hard as he possibly can on a They Not Like Us song on stage versus being in an NBA game. And speaking of NBA games, I mean, how about them Boston Celtics? You see how easy it is for you to get distracted from the things that really matter? We do it every single day. And so while they're going to be pounding into your head the things that don't matter, I encourage you to pay attention to exactly what's going to happen during this debate because the policies matter. And again, the three things that mean the most to me is whether or not we are in single parent households because it's absolutely positively affecting the fabric of America. Immigration issues. Why are our borders open? Even though we had Obama, who was largely labeled the deporter in chief, and then Trump basically capitalized off of that and then followed in his footsteps with regard to that particular policy as far as making sure that we keep our shores safe. And even Biden, there was a recent video that was exposing him on the Obama campaign saying that if we don't keep our borders secure, then how can we protect America, but yet we still want to be concerned with the things that don't really matter? The third thing that's meaningful to me is finances, inflation, and whether or not you guys can even afford to put food on your table, let alone put a house over your head, because it's a whole lot of people living van life. It's a whole lot of people that's really embracing this luxury homeless shelter over in Los Angeles that they recently built. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Why are our borders open? Why are there millions and millions of migrants just walking into this country, and our federal government is actually fighting Texas to close off the borders? Why is California wide open? Why did they raise the minimum wage to over $20 an hour, and then at the same time, it's a lot of businesses is closing? Why are they trying to raise property taxes? Why are they starting to have a mansion tax? Why are they taking more money out of your pocket every single day, and you guys don't even pay attention to your check stub, but you're going to make sure that you dial into YouTube every day to figure out who won the battle? Well, I would encourage you to figure out who won the battle as far as the presidential election. Participate in the process. And if you don't, then don't sit here and jump on these panels or have these conversations or call into your recent shows and say, well, my vote don't matter, or I don't like this person, or I don't like what's happening in society, or I don't even like what's happening in my city. The very policies, the very people that's in your legislative branches, they are a reflection of the people that advocated for them. But now we see so many people trying to leave California, and they all running over there to Texas. And eventually, I predict, obviously I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong, I predict that Texas is eventually going to turn blue. Because everybody over in California, from Los Angeles and Sacramento and San Francisco, they all running over to Austin. Austin is basically California South. And everybody from Atlanta is running to Texas. And if you can't afford to live in South Florida, then you're going to run up to Atlanta. And no matter where you go, you take your policies, you take your voting, and you take your mindset with you. And so while I'm sitting here and I'm saying that I'm more conservative because I think that black people in general have for a long time been conservative, I'm also open to the possibilities of what you guys are expressing if you participated in the voting process, because I don't believe that you should be complaining if you did not participate. That's weird to me. Why would somebody sit here and complain about why they don't like the direction of the country, or whether or not they can keep a roof over their head, or how much is coming out of their paycheck, how much is going over to Ukraine and Taiwan, right? Israel. Why would you sit here and complain about your local election and your local governors that's absolutely ruining the fabric of this country? You got Gavin Newsom pretty much running California into the ground, yet he continues to be reelected. Brandon Johnson told you what he was going to do, and he's worse off than Lori Lightfoot. And I don't even blame Brandon Johnson, because he got elected based off of what he told you he was going to do. And while Chicago is basically running at a deficit, they've spent over $400 million that's largely unaccounted for when it comes to exactly where this money is going and who owns these companies that they're using to staff these migrant shelters. And they're paying over $100,000 a month per location. And if it goes past a certain amount of migrants that's in it, then they get to give whoever these companies are, or whoever these landlords are, a $400,000 bonus. But you guys aren't concerned about where your tax dollars are going? You pay your taxes every single day, yet you're not concerned about what's going on with your presidential election? You're not concerned about what's going on with your governors? I think that the governor in New York, what's her name? Kathy Hochul? I think that she's one of the worst governors of America, but we don't want to have these conversations. Karen Bass is running Los Angeles into the ground. I know so many mayors and governors, more than I ever have in my entire life, simply because I'm participating in the process, and it pays for me to do so, because then I can determine what happens in this country and what's going forward. But you can't do that unless you educate yourself about the policies, about the people, understanding their mindset. And I know that it's a lot of people that already got their minds made up as far as this presidential election. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I told him, I said, listen, we're not even going to focus on people that's over the age of 60. He said, Anton, I don't think we should focus on people under the age of 24, because they don't participate in the voting process either. I said, well, the people that's over the age of 60, they already got their minds made up. So we need to educate people, and we need to get them to understand the policy. See, my strategy this year is not to tell you who to vote for, but to force you to look at things that's more effective to your life and then let you make your own informed decision. Our job is not to tell you what to do, but provide you with the accurate information so you can make the decision for yourself. But you got to make the decision for yourself. And that's why I'm encouraging you guys to participate in watching this upcoming debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And I don't even think Biden is competent enough to even stand up there and debate with a Donald Trump because it looks like he's out of space. I mean, the dude is practically a Manchurian candidate. Is Biden running the White House or Obama really running the White House? Because I seen Obama actually leading Biden off the stage the other day. And so I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking in my head. But more importantly, don't be as concerned with who's winning the battle when it comes to hip hop and rap without giving that same amount of energy to who's going to win a presidential election, because that's going to be more meaningful to your life. I encourage you guys to participate. I encourage you guys to really educate yourself, and don't let this opportunity pass you by, because you're not even going to be the one that fully suffer for it. It's going to be your children.